Hello and welcome back to The Source with Madison Fleischer. I'm Madison Fleischer, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Lisa Fleischer, a very passionate Surrey community member and small business advocate. So welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? There's a city council, election coming up towards the end of the year. You're very active within small business. Just kind of tell us about your experiences with the community.
I am an advocate for small business, but I'm also very active in the community and just trying to help where I can and giving back to a community that's given so much to myself. So I really love being a member of the Surrey Business Communication or Community.
Surrey Business Community,
yes.
Yep.
And I look forward to doing whatever I can in the community to make it a better place.
Now, is this something that you're thinking of, getting involved with the upcoming municipal elections? Is that something on your radar?
It's something I'm very interested in because that's the only way you can affect change is by getting involved. And to sit on the sidelines and complain won't do anything, but to get involved and really make a difference and to get out and meet the people and hear their issues is really what's going to change the issues of concern we have in Surrey.
Most definitely. And maybe you could also tell our viewers a little bit about the business that you have and kind of what you do as well and the boards that you're involved with.
Yes, I have a clothing store, a ladies' clothing store, and I'm in the process right now of actually starting another company with clothing brand, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of getting out and meeting people in the community because I choose to support local. So it's going out and finding local people to work with, and therefore I'm able to meet a lot of different people from a lot of different industries and hear different issues that they have as well, and we can kind of brainstorm and see what's going to work best for everyone.
Definitely. And, when it comes to politics, federal, municipal, pretty much on every level, it seems that there's been such a lacking focus on small business and being able to see more of small business in those policies. There's a lot of reactive things as far as rent relief and different things like that, but there's never a real chapter, if you will, on small business. And I think it's very important to have advocates like Lisa and others involved in those things. So perhaps you could also forecast a little bit about what Surrey residents are wanting to see in the next municipal election. What are the big issues?
I think the biggest issues facing our community is for small businesses to get back on their feet, to be open without restrictions and to be able to get back to that new normal. I think another thing we're dealing with now is sort of a housing crisis, a shortage of properties on the market, which is driving the prices up. So housing is very unaffordable. Rentals are unaffordable because they're in line with the housing. So it's become very expensive. So I think that's a big concern for people. I also feel infrastructure needs to change. Surrey is just a juggernaut when you're trying to drive around town. So it's very important that we get our roadways working and looking at Skytrains and different services that we can offer the residents of Surrey just to make life easier. I think that's what we're all looking for, is to make life a little bit more affordable and easier.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. So maybe let's go through a couple of those different points and hear a little bit more about those. So small businesses, as someone who is a small business owner and has faced the pandemic the past couple of years that we've now been in, and hopefully we're soon at the light of the end of the tunnel there, what is it that small business owners are needing?
I think small business owners, first and foremost, are looking forward to the restrictions being lifted off of our businesses so we can operate normally. As I appreciate that everything was put in place to keep everybody safe, and we all did our part in that, I think that we're all looking forward to getting back on our feet and getting back to normal. And I think that's the biggest part. And I think that's what everyone's really looking forward to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And as far as property goes, I believe you also mentioned that you are in the process of gaining your real estate license.
Mm-hmm. I am.
So on top of being a small business owner and, further extending that business acumen, you're, involved in that. And I believe you also mentioned that you are involved with your local strata complex.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what is it that residents are hearing as far as their, property taxes in Surrey? I mean, you can see houses that were purchased a few years ago were $500,000, $600,000, and now they're being assessed at over $1 million. So it's very, inspiring to see that your dollars went far, but it's a little discouraging when you can't find anything comparable that is pretty much under the $1 million mark there.
It's definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, you're excited to see your property gain value. Going over $1 million is really exciting for many families. But what you also have to realize is the tax implications of that. And on top of that, if you want to sell and move, finding something comparable or better than what you have is going to be a challenge. And I think that's what many people are facing. I know where I live, properties are selling through the roof, and it's an up and coming part of Surrey. And I feel like that is really great in some ways, and it's very challenging in another. So it's hard.
It's hard, especially when people are so proud to call, Surrey their home, whether it's, a couple houses down the line and they found Surrey as their home or they were born and raised. It's very hard to not be pushed out further into the valley, and now we're seeing into the interior to find somewhat affordable houses. So that is another thing as well with social housing, Indigenous housing, low-income housing. How are we going to be able to find spaces for these individuals who are, at risk, who are trying to break into the market, but they just can't. Mm-hmm. So having a council as well that is, tapping into that is very important.
Yeah, we don't have enough social housing. The social housing we have is lacking. I feel like that's an area that the city could do better on, the province could do better on. And I think it's really important that the City of Surrey liaison with the government and focus on improving our public housing, mm-hmm. and just making life more affordable. I mean, that couldn't be driven more home than just making things more affordable for all folks.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that also parlays almost into the social services aspect of things. So, mental health supports and funding those governing bodies that are in need of resources, in need of liaising with the City of Surrey and the province. It does fall under, various categories of federal, municipal, provincial, different levels, but I think if all of these bodies could work together effectively, there is an ability to harness some sort of teamwork that can push the residents of Surrey into getting the help they need and having it easily accessible, and something like that down the road. So that's definitely something that will be huge in this next election, I believe.
Yes, and I think Surrey does have a good amount of mental health support. But having said that, the wait lists, the ease of being able to get into these programs is still challenging. And I still think there is a big percentage of people left out. So I think we see that in our streets, that there's just not enough support. So that's another thing that we really have to work with the provincial and federal government as far as getting more mental health support. I think that we need more programs, we need more accessibility.
Yeah, and an increase as well in, funding those jobs to get those workers in these places so those wait lists can be reduced in mm-hmm. time and lower those barriers to entry, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely.
For sure.
And as far as I believe you were talking about another point, it was infrastructure. Being able to see, the Skytrain is something that a lot of people are talking about extending from the downtown core in Vancouver out to Surrey. the prospects of jobs surrounding that, the ability of allowing university-aged students the opportunity to expand outside of their, homes in Langley and Abbotsford out in the Valley. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm definitely in support of that. I know sitting on 152 in traffic for sometimes 30 to 45 minutes just trying to get to the Highway 1, we need something. There is infrastructure needed in Surrey. We have grown beyond our roadways and our infrastructure, and it's time that we start doing things. The Skytrain is something that's been in the works, and it needs to get done. It needs to be implemented just for the ease of everybody to get around, and definitely we need that corridor to Langley. Mm-hmm. So people just need to be able to get around all of Vancouver a bit easier because there's just so much congestion due to the growth and lack of planning. Most definitely.
And again, preventative measures rather than reactive measures there. And I believe it was the federal government that had announced during the last election the funding for that. So that is in the works federally. I believe it has also been checked off provincially. Now it is getting the municipal side of things on order there. So as well, we'll be seeing that kind of roll out towards the end of this year as the candidates go up against each other for the race of Surrey Mayor. I believe right now we have Brenda Locke of Surrey Connect. We have the prospects of Ginny Sims as well as Member of Parliament Suk Dhaliwal. So that'll be a very exciting race, and I'm excited to see which candidates are putting their names forward and what their different slates are comprised of, and members potentially like Lisa Fleischer here who are advocates for all of these things. Sometimes it takes someone who's not a career politician as well to be able to see the difference in their communities and really speak from the heart. Passionate community members are what we need, as well as the government officials. It's always a great thing to combine efforts there. But thank you so much for coming on, Lisa, and sharing your experiences and your ideas. We're looking forward to having you back and seeing you hopefully on the campaign trail.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.